Okay, feeling a little loopy as tonight is a super blue moon. It is Monday, August 19th, and we didn't want to hold out doing this episode because half the NFL is doing that. Speaking of NFL, we need to figure out, does Danny Dimes belong in the NFL, and would he even make the Little Giants roster? We'll discuss.
Sports, comedy, pop culture, and everything in between. By idiots, for idiots.
Where's your decorum, golden dummers?
This is Sports Idiot Nation.
Sports, comedy, pop culture, and everything in between. By idiots, for idiots. Welcome, sinners. This is Sports Idiot Nation.
Okay, welcome in. Yes, like I said, it is Monday, August 19th, and I got to be honest, do you guys, I will say there's a 51% chance that Miles behind enemy lines does know what a super blue moon is, and there is a 51% chance that a 1TI from Titans Idiot Nation does not know what a super blue moon is. So, Miles, do you know?
I was drinking plenty of Blue Moon this last weekend. It was my
Super.
birthday, as we all know. And
It's like super Blue Moon.
Once I have more than 4, I think it goes from drinking Blue Moon to super drinking Blue Moon.
All right.
Pretty much. I mean, you know,
That's
three or four jars of liquid courage. You might be feeling pretty super, you know.
so.
So in retrospect, in the 51% that there's a chance that I do not know, I'm going to go ahead and up that ante to about 99.9%.
All right.
Sure, because I would just assume it's a Neil Young song at this point. So
Yeah. But CCR did what? All right. So this is a rare spectacle that appears tonight, and this is what it is. So it's dubbed a super blue moon. The rare combination occurs when the different cycles of blue and super moons happen to align on the calendar, according to NASA's own Noah Petro. So what it is, if that's not already confusing enough, I basically didn't say what it was. But astronomers have varying definitions for what counts as a supermoon, what counts as a blue moon. Just last year, a full moon met the criteria for both, just saying. But here's why it's so special. So when the moon's orbit brings it closer to Earth than usual, the cosmic combo is called a supermoon. Supermoon occurs when the moon's orbit is closest to Earth at the same time that the moon is full. And that term was coined in 1979 by, of course, Richard Knoll. Of course, that's who did it. And of course, you spelled it wrong in your head. It's Nolle. So different publications use slightly different thresholds for deciding what qualifies as a supermoon. But basically, when the moon reaches its closest point to Earth, about 226,000 miles away, full moons appear larger and brighter. So a supermoon will appear 30% brighter and 14% larger than a typical full moon. Now, about 20 years ago, I went to a concert in Fort Wayne, Indiana, from Trick Turner, which, you talk about one-hit wonders. They barely even made that chart, but they had one hit called Friends and Family. And we met them outside the tour bus, and the lead singer goes, "Hey, is that a full moon out there?" And we're like, "No, I don't think so." He pulled his pants down, turned around and said, "No, but this is."
yeah, I was going to ask you if this full moon had a crack in it, because those are the moons that I'm used to, you know.
So, yeah, that was the weirdest full moon that I've ever seen. Trick Turner. So
I never
go
heard
ahead
of that
and YouTube
band.
that.
Trick Turner.
Trick
Who is
Turner.
Trick
Oh man,
Turner?
this is
Trick Turner.
20 years ago at least.
They were that one week. They must have been something.
And here's what's Here's what was funny. We were out, me and my buddy. It was actually Mike Schott from the Toy Pit. So our sponsor, Mike, is who I was with, and we brought a couple girls to this show. And for a second, we were like, "Oh, we don't want to go backstage to the tour bus because the guys might steal our girls." And the band asked the girls to come on the bus, and they looked at them and then looked at us, and they're like, "No, we're good," and they went home with us.
That's funny.
They must have been really ugly.
True story. True
Dude,
story.
I only got there was only a couple opportunities in life that happened, but my buddy and I one time went up to a show, and Zebrahead, I don't know if you guys remember that band at all. They ended up opening up for a couple of the bands, and long story short, we ended up hanging out with them on the bus, and the lead singer apparently was real sick, and so nobody was partying, and so they were reading excerpts of Catcher in the Rye. And so we roll up and we're like thinking like, oh, cool, man. We're hanging out on a tour bus. Yeah, we're going to party and all this. And it's like just a bunch of nerds sitting around reading a book. We're like, all right, yeah, peace out,
Yeah, cool, man.
So, and also Catcher in a Rye, isn't that like a favorite book of most serial killers or something? So, there's some kind of weird connection there. So that was kind of creepy.
Kill John Lennon. I think that's what inspired that dude to kill John Lennon, was his interpretation of Catcher in the Rye.
Well, hopefully he wasn't hanging out with Zebrahead. So,
man, yeah, probably not. So, another thing going on as it is Monday is, Kamala's got some stuff going down in Chicago, and Miles was talking about that a little bit. That if the whole city of Chicago later today, just I don't know what is happening today. Do you think, Miles?
Lots of protests for the Palestinian clans, but if they burn down the entire city, Chicago Bears fans just hope that Caleb Williams builds it back up.
Yeah, and
he is the second coming of Michael Jordan, according to Chicago sports fans, and
better than what Johnny Manziel ended up being, more than what LeBron was by Skip Bayless. Remember, he tweeted that years ago, like, "Oh, mark my words, like LeBron who in Cleveland."
Yeah,
like, okay.
He said Johnny Manziel will be bigger to the city of Cleveland than his buddy LeBron ever was.
Oh, Skip.
And Skip Bayless is no longer employed, so
yeah, that's what happens. I want some of what Skip was sipping
Manziel
on. Whatever Skip was sipping on, go ahead and make mine a double.
Yeah, dude. Like, come on, get out of here. So, man, okay, Caleb Williams, like, I watched I was going through YouTube looking at some of the highlights, because I knew obviously we were going to talk through some of it, and
you were pausing in between watching gorillas punching humans in the face, though, right?
Exactly. Shout out to previous episodes for sure. Which, by the way, I will say, be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, the Twitter universe, wherever you get your social media. All you simply have to do is type in Sports Idiot Nation, and you will find us, because we are very active, if you will, very, very active on the socials. So find us there and check out previous episodes as well on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify as well. But so what I was doing was perusing through YouTube and found every single Caleb Williams snap. So it's just a 3-minute video, as he had, 10 to 12 snaps, right? And honestly, he did look very human in half the snaps. Overthrows, not the right read, whatever. But there was 2 or 3 plays where you're like, okay, I don't see really any other quarterback doing this at all other than Patrick Mahomes. I don't see any quarterback doing some of the things that he did in the second week of preseason. Like, does he pass the eye test to you guys? Miles, do you think that he is going to be what Bears fans are hyping him up to be?
No. T.I., your turn.
Well, great. Thank you for your service.
I mean,
you're welcome.
The kid was cursed the minute he put that Bears uniform on. I like we said, what was it, a couple shows back? It's like Rex Grossman, Jim McMahon. I mean, these are the guys that took him to the promised land. Are we really flipping the script on this? Is this an offensive minded team that it doesn't matter if they give up 50 as long as they put up 55? Like, is this the Chiefs Rams from 3 years ago where there was no defense to be had? It's just points. I mean, if that's the case, then maybe they win a little more games than they lose, but they
Right.
got a long way to go. And to take it back, I mean, I'm not playing devil's advocate with your take on it, because I've seen some of his highlights. They look good, but I mean, you could literally that scramble from the last game where he rolled out, he dodged a few defenders. What was it? He hit about a 60-yard dart.
Yeah, just in the breadbasket.
I mean, but didn't Justin Fields do the same stuff? I mean, I'm just like, and they're just like, we're gonna get rid of you.
Some plays. I would say
he's
less
not a
like
better
that,
passer. I mean,
more
Caleb
with
Williams
legs.
is. I mean, like I said a couple shows back, like I've watched a lot of his tape because I thought there was a possibility Titans might get him. And I mean, yeah, he's a great passer. I mean, he's obviously way better than Justin Fields. But I'm just saying, it's like, let's just pump the brakes a little bit, I mean, they could be 0-5 out the gate,
Well, for one, it is illegal for the Chicago Bears to have great quarterback play. So
it is.
Move that out of the way.
At the convention, they'll go over that.
Sexy Rexy.
Well, yeah, if they want to win the election, they have to discuss quarterback play in Chicago. That only makes sense.
At Michael Jordan's restaurant.
The other thing was, I said this since the draft took place back in April, was I believe the best quarterback from this previous draft will be Bo Nix. And it's not because I think Bo Nix will be that great of a quarterback. It's because I think this quarterback class sucks. I don't care what they've done so far in the preseason, sans J.J. McCarthy. Feel bad for the kid, but I don't care what Drake May's done. I don't care what Caleb Williams has done.
Bo does look good. Bo knows.
But
Bo knows Nix
does know. But again, it's still against backup defenses. So I am not even sold on him being a great quarterback or the savior of the Broncos. I just think the rest of the quarterbacks stink a little bit more than he does.
Yeah, I know, like you said, Bo Nix, he looked good against Green Bay. I think Green Bay didn't even make the trip for that preseason game. That was just really bad. And they get a safety because of Zach Wilson. Like,
the Milf Hunter strikes again.
Of all the stupid things, like, really, Zach Wilson,
it was a hot mom that sacked him. He likes to be sacked by hot
you
moms.
Can't get your name out of the negativity, like, no matter what you do, Zach Wilson.
In the preseason. Even in the preseason.
Yep. So
those Jets, man, the Jets strike again. They ruined another kid,
So here's a question that I want to ask you guys regarding preseason, because we're starting to see teams take on an identity in the preseason as far as this. Some teams are looking actually to win football games. I think you look at a few teams that I looked at closely was the teams like the Titans, the Saints. These teams, in their play call and their decision making, are not just trying to get guys a look. They're actually making decisions to win the game so that their record will say 1-0, 2-0, whatever it is. And that does boost the culture, because those teams did not make it to the playoffs last year. And I just wonder, though, do you build yourself up too much where in a 2-mile run you start sprinting, and then 3 minutes into a 16-minute to 20-minute race, you're holding your side a little bit, and you're like, oh no, like you're out in front, but now you kind of are like, uh-oh, here comes the other 10 people, and they're about to lap me now because I'm too tired. Like, is that a thing that you guys are worried about, or are you like, nope, just win every down, win every time, I don't care, just tighten up, baby, like we're just gonna win? And same thing with Houday and Houdad and all that, these teams that are making decisions that you're like, okay, 4th and 2, and it's in any other situation you're gonna punt, but here you're going for it because we want to win. Like, T.I., are you worried about that?
Am I worried? We were awful last year, Adam. We were awful. So we just want to see productive football. Like, we have been stuck in the Stone Ages here in Nashville for so long, and that's not a knock to Henry or Vrabel or anybody. It's just we have a completely new offensive identity. And I was at the game Saturday. Went with our fellow constituent, Mr. Jay Harper. Shout out to Jay, our voice announcer and much more. We'll be having him on an episode soon. But
For sure.
that
I
team,
recognize those seats for sure.
for sure. That team wanted to win. That team wanted to win. Obviously the rook there with the big balls on the kick. I mean, big 59-yarder. That's awesome. I mean, they could have went out there and just played it safe. They could have went it for a fourth down instead of kicking the field goal to, settle for cutting the score. I mean, they wanted to win, and it's kind of harks back to what you say. Like they know that it starts day one of practice. They know the preseason matters. People say preseason doesn't matter, but it does. People can sit out there and say like, oh, our starters don't need reps. We as Titans fans saw a couple years ago when we left Henry and Julio and Tannehill all out of the preseason. Whew, man, it was like week 4 before we were even doing anything, and we never did anything.
That's fair.
So I mean, it's just, yeah. I mean, I personally think preseason matters. Doesn't mean it's always fun to watch, but it's nice to see people playing for a job. I mean, Titans got a tough decision. They've got 10 guys on the roster, catching passes, and they're only going to be able to keep about 6 of those guys. So they've got some decisions to make for sure. At the running back position, I mean, I don't know. I think Chestnut is definitely going to get the nod. I think Haskins going to get cut. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they keep a 4th, but I just don't see how Haskins sticks around. They're giving him way too many looks right now, and I think that's a sign that they just don't believe in him. But other than that, man, hey, I don't care. I don't care if it's running up the score in preseason. We want to see touchdowns. We want to see touchdowns in Nashville, Adam.
Well, you saw a lot of field goals on when you went.
We did. That's right. But
in the fourth quarter.
But they did. Who was your team? Who was your team? The Niners. Did they beat them last week? I think they did.
They didn't even beat them in the regular season when they played the last time there either.
Doesn't matter. Hey, it's New Year. Preseason. Preseason matters. What we're talking about, right? Preseason matters. So your team lost in the preseason, and it matters.
It's the only thing we got right now.
Yeah. Let us have this, Adam. Right? We don't all have Brock Purdy and Christian McCaffrey. We can't just trade a bunch of peanuts for Christian McCaffrey, okay?
No kidding. The best trade ever, right?
I mean, God, it was a ridiculous trade. You guys Bill Cosby'd them straight up.
Man. Yep. Took their lunch money too. For a Mountain Dew machine in the locker room.
I'm still mad about that. I have a few friends that are Panthers fans, and they still talk about that.
Dude, yeah.
Shout out Hollywood. Shout out Hollywood if he's watching.
Yep. So what about
Poor guy.
Let's look at teams like Pittsburgh. Like Russell Wilson somehow forgot how to play football. Like he
didn't forget. He just doesn't care to anymore. Once you get that money. I mean, he got the rings, got the money, got the wife.
Yeah.
What else does he need?
Happy wife, happy life. Who cares about the foosball?
Got the Subway sandwiches. Got the Subway sandwiches.
Yeah. Yeah, Russ told his mom that, she showed me her boobies, and I liked them. And I'm going to put a ring on it. I put a ring on it.
I mean, bro bought a house with like 18 bathrooms. He's left this earth. He's no longer with us.
He's with Scientology now.
Yeah.
He's the captain.
Him and Tom Cruise are kicking
Help
it
me,
somewhere.
Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Good old Talladega Nights. So, okay, another thing that's important around this time is people holding out. And we were talking about Pittsburgh, like that's still on the table for a one Brandon Aiyuk. And I think it speaks more to him staying with the Niners the longer this thing goes, right? If your favorite team has one of your favorite players asking to be traded, unfollowing the social media, but is seen dapping up the coach and the GM and is still at practice, yes, in street clothes, but he's still there with his guys. The longer that process takes, you do feel better about when he did turn down deals to New England, which what a different world we are living in, where I'm saying this out loud. I'm going to say it again. A football player turned down a trade to the New England Patriots. What a time to be alive, right? So he turned that down, and then Pittsburgh had it all out there. Here you go. Here's your situation. And he's like, he didn't take it, and he still could. But Miles, do you agree that the longer that this goes, the more that 49er fans can say, well, he's probably going to remain a 49er?
Yeah, I think so. And I think you can turn to history to see that is the case, that the longer it goes, it's showing more that other teams aren't even going to bother with him. And I think with certain situations like this where he really doesn't have that much leverage, no matter what he wants to
None.
portray
He's
himself to
under
have.
contract. That's like Miles, you leaving the show. We have you for the next 2 years. You already signed, dude.
And I'm not
I
even
don't care who
getting
comes
paid.
to you. Yeah, I don't care if Colin
Yes.
Coward comes to you. Like, you're under contract, bud.
Yeah.
Well, when Miles and I
So-
first met, I got him drunk, and he signed a lifetime contract with Titans Idiot Nation. So he just wasn't aware of that. So
In blood and in beer. So that's
Yeah.
true. I can confirm. I do have some memory of that. But I think he will end up staying with San Francisco, and no other team is going to want to touch him. And I'm sure here in a little bit we can go through some of these guys from past years that were looking to get out, but in reality, they're just trying to make an extra buck. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. With Aiyuk, I mean, we'll see. I can't make a guarantee either way, but he's probably just trying to get some attention, something in the spotlight right now, to make him feel good about himself before the Niners once again choke in the Super Bowl.
Right.
zing.
Zinger.
Yeah, it's kind of like I said a couple weeks ago. I felt that this is all just an in-house ploy in a way. He's just trying to make sure that he gets the deal he eventually wants from San Francisco. I mean, you know, he's not trying to uproot his entire life to make $5,000 more and be in a much terrible, unstable situation. Whether it's New England, whether it's Cleveland, whether it is Pittsburgh. Yes, those are historic franchises with very, prestigious history. Well, except for the Browns.
Yeah, not Cleveland.
but
not Johnny Manziel.
2 out of 3 ain't
digress.
bad. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. But I mean,
Yeah.
it's like, dude, come on, man. Like you're not doing that, I'm not saying that if we're comparing careers, of course, Russ has some Super Bowls, but let's be real, man. Who do you want to catch passes from? An old watered down Russ,
or Brock Purdy,
or Justin Fields that might be a kick returner half the game, and then or Brock Purdy. Yeah, come on. Or a very very young rookie Drake May, who I think has thrown a total of 6 attempts all preseason.
Did you hear about Drake
come
May?
on.
One of the callers in New England radio called and was like dead serious. They're like, "Oh, they need to cut him."
Yeah.
What?
They're like, he don't look like Brady. Cut him.
Yeah.
Well, they don't talk country like that. I don't know why I made them sound like they were from Dixon, Tennessee, but they're more,
England Idiot Nation.
more like, you don't look like Brady. Cut him. Yeah.
Dunkin' Donuts.
Well, up in Patriot Idiot Nation, they only like 6-round quarterbacks. That's why they're all in on Joe Milton out of UT right now.
Hey, you're right. Pin's got a nice word to it. Patriot Idiot Nation.
Of course, I'm right.
Yeah.
And so does Niners at 9 Inch Nails.
And then,
Yeah, I like that.
Ninnies.
Trent Reznor wouldn't sue us at all.
Right.
Not
friend
at
of
all.
the show, right?
I'm sure friend of the show. We'll talk. We'll get our pal Joshua Toomey there to reach out to Trent Reznor for us and
Yes, sir.
go ahead and iron out those details for us.
Love it. So yeah,
More
we're
to
talking
come.
about holdouts, and it got me thinking for sure of especially receivers, but it made me think of how ridiculous it was watching SportsCenter at 9:13 a.m. and seeing Terrell Owens in his driveway doing sit-ups, conducting an interview, and while they're like, "Well, T.O., do you think?" and the interviewer, it has to go like this to keep up with the kid doing sit-ups, which I did some research because it's just hilarious to look back at that. Did you guys know that he supposedly he had a little earpiece and his publicist was in his ear that entire time doing the interview?
Sure, have to be. I mean, wasn't he in his like boxers or something too? Wasn't he like in some little shorts or something? I don't know. It seemed like something really weird. It was
He definitely wasn't wearing a shirt. I remember that as well.
Yeah, I remember that. I mean, he was just like full on putting on a spectacle, But I mean, he's T.O. Come on, he's T.O.
Right. Like that just takes us back to like.
But they're divas.
The days of
receivers
people holding out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
That makes me
receivers
think
are
of
just
AB and
and he T.O.
Just-
he got the hell out of Baltimore with that though. It worked for him.
I forgot that he was even in Baltimore until we just started discussing this. You know,
Well, he never.
So that
he
was
never
like
physically got to Baltimore. He was
okay. So he went
technically
from
a part of the roster, but he never.
so he
played.
went from San Francisco to supposed to go to Baltimore, but then went to Philly, and then wound up in
as
Dallas,
far as I recall,
and then wound up in Cincy, and then I don't know
a partridge in a pear tree.
and then I
Yeah.
think he was in Toronto or. You know,
Yeah, he was like a juggernaut or whatever those
for
astronaut,
like a it was I know it was a gimmick, but it was like a
and now
publicity
the Arena
stunt.
League, and he's 50.
Then he was like 44 doing sprints still at like a 4-something speed, like saying he wanted to come back after he had retired like for 2 or 3 years. I remember that too.
They're all divas, but man, he was a legend. You know, he was a damn good receiver. I mean,
His
he was
son-
a headache, but.
You know where his son officially that he doesn't have a roster spot secured. He's an undrafted free agent, but he is with the team that his dad got drafted by, the 49ers.
49ers. Where did he go to school? Did he go to UTC as well, or
No, it is like an obscure school like that, and that's why I don't know. I honestly don't remember.
Yeah,
Nor do we care.
Those guys.
Yeah.
I mean, those holdout guys. Like we were talking.
He's not going to make the team.
You know, Le'Veon Bell, like that guy. I mean, you know, like he ruined his entire career holding out. Like that dude.
He thought he was. Yeah,
I'm still pissed at that guy. Le'Veon, if you're listening to me, do you know that the year you decided to hold out and you started all this stuff, like you were on my fantasy team, you were my keeper, and you ruined my entire season. My entire season, Le'Veon
That's
Bell.
why I don't do keepers, bro.
You know, and I literally traded you for. I think it was like AP when he was on the Redskins or something. It was some ridiculous trade when he was a rookie, and I was like, oh man, you know. So I thought I was going to have Le'Veon Bell for life. Instead, he ruined my fantasy team and his entire career. Now he has OnlyFans. So I don't have OnlyFans.
Maybe
he has.
That's your
OnlyFans.
problem. That's
right.
The problem,
though.
You're right. That is the problem. That's how I'm going to pay my bills.
Which, speaking of fantasy. We are in a fantasy league with a one Jay Harper, and I wanted to ask you the results of the NASCAR race from yesterday, because what happened is our commissioner said that how we're drafting is based on how the drivers do. So I'm looking at it now, and dude, I don't understand. So I had Kyle Busch. So if Kyle Busch got number 6 in the race, then I would be drafting 6. I'm looking at the list. Allgaier 1, followed by Creed, Nemechek, Alfredo, Smith, Gregson, DiBenedetto, Gray, Baccarella. I don't know any of these dudes. Kilgerman, Honeyman, Sieg, Ellis, Clements. I don't recognize. They're Earnhardt, some guy Earnhardt. I know it's not Dale, and I know it's not his daddy, obviously. But Jay Earnhardt driving the Toyota got 21st place. I don't see your guy, T.I., and I don't see Kyle Busch anywhere in the top 16.
Well, they have to have, so they're not going to have only 16 racers. So it's probably like, they probably randomly drew racers. And then whatever place, then it'll go in chronological order.
So as of right now,
sequential order.
Yeah, as of right now, Monday, I don't know what because I'm not even in the top. Kyle Busch did not even place in the top 38 as I have the list here. So I don't
Brock Purdy
know.
For you.
So luckily, I can help you guys out because Adam's not the smartest, crayon in the box. So right now he's looking at the Xfinity series, which has nothing to do with the race you're talking about. The race was postponed. The race starts later today. But Adam, just forgive him. He doesn't know what he's talking about. They have no idea what their drafting order is because the race hasn't occurred.
We don't know. But all we know
as of now, Denny Hamlin is still first because he's in the pole position with 0 laps raced.
That's
okay.
Right. Let's go,
Good
Denny
job,
Hamlin.
Guys.
I know nothing about NASCAR. Let's go, Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, I know the name Kyle Busch. I know that name, but I don't know what he looks like, and I didn't even know.
He's got 2 eyes. He's got a nose.
Penis.
Yeah,
allegedly.
He does.
His penis looks like a man's, I think.
Yeah, hopefully you don't know that for sure.
It's 2024 though.
You never know.
But speaking
So-
going back to holdouts though, what about was it 2 years ago?
Yeah,
Yes,
what's our
because
favorite
Saquon's on the
holdouts?
Eagles now. Well, Saquon's on the Eagles now. So what about that guy that like was just going to Saquon's house like every day? You know, like John Cusack, like say anything. He's out there with like the radio, you know, like come
The
on,
boondocks.
you know, like come on, Saquon, sign, you know, and it didn't work. I mean, now he's in Philly, you know. That was a good one. That was a good one.
The beginning
Yeah.
of the end.
But
That's
you mentioned AB, you know, He got shipped out there and he's like, can I wear my special helmet? You know,
that
we're
hit
like,
by Perfect, right? Wasn't that
No. Oh, it
that
changed
gave
his
him-
life. Oh yeah.
it completely changed his life?
Oh, absolutely.
He was
Absolutely.
just
That
a normal guy putting.
Did you guys
up
see
freak
that
numbers.
live? Were you watching that? I was watching that game live. I almost
I only saw the
spit my
highlight.
drink. I almost spit my drink out. It was like, oh my god, that person is not alive anymore.
Right, dude.
Until I saw him like wobbling around like a worm. That, you know, it was like, you know, trying to crawl up out of the mud. That's what he looked like, and I was just like,
Dude.
oh my god, he is on a different planet. He has no idea where he's at. He claims that caused no damage to him. It's just like, bro, you have not been the same. He didn't even talk the same. He doesn't even talk the same since then.
He doesn't tweet the same. That is for sure.
Oh man,
He almost
That
froze
too.
his feet off. He almost right like
he
the,
got
the
yeah,
thing
but
with the Raiders.
he got a free Super
Today-
Bowl as Tom Brady's roommate.
Yeah. Hey, today I believe I saw on X that T.I. is his Caucasian of the week.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes, if you are watching on Spotify or YouTube, you see the Caucasians sported by one TI.
Classic Cleveland Indians pun there. Limited edition. A few years ago, they sold. I think it was on Good Morning Football. I think I saw it. I can't remember where I saw it first, but they were like 24 hours left to get it. I was like, oh, I've
You're
gotta
like,
get that.
boom.
Yeah, I gotta get that.
Stay tuned to us for sure because we will have our own Sin style shirts, right? Like we're gonna be on that for sure. So stay tuned. Again, make sure that you also follow on Apple and Spotify. The most fun way to watch is on YouTube, of course. So okay, we're talking NFL football and some holdouts. It's all every year there's gonna be holdouts and different guys who are projected to take over the team. You know, you look at, we were talking about the Giants and like Danny Dimes, like he is not. I'd rather have Danny DeVito or who's their fourth string, right?
From Syracuse.
Tommy DeVito. Tommy.
It's the
Hey,
same
Tommy.
thing.
Illinois.
I'd
Illinois,
rather,
the other
Tommy.
orange
Put a
and
pizza
blue.
down. Tommy, they gotta do a football interview.
we got to make a Little Giants sequel. Like, because Danny Dimes, I don't think would make the Little Giants roster, which, by the way, would be hilarious to do a sequel because Ed O'Neill has, like, from that time, has had, like, a second career in doing other projects where, like, people of today know him. I mean, we know him and our viewers or our viewer know him from Married with Children, but like he with Modern Family and like stuff, like he's kind of become like another whole character to the point also where his wife on Married with Children, Peg, she has a different career on like Sons of Anarchy and like because she married that dude who created the series and like she's done other stuff. It's weird how they have two different careers.
Futurama. She's had a huge career from Futurama.
For sure. Like,
Mhm.
it's weird how those two characters had second careers. And so Ed O'Neill, it would be good to have him do Little Giants again, where they have like Daniel Dimes is like working at like the grocery, like the Kurt Warner story. It's like the
Now you better keep his ass at the grocery store. Then don't be bringing him in like Kurt Warner. He's not. Yeah, he's not
it's
taking the
so
Super Bowl.
bad.
But
Which
what current Giants would make the Little Giants roster? Would Danny Dimes make it?
I,
I don't know.
was that
Miles,
the
would Danny Dimes
annexation?
make the Little Giants roster?
No, he wouldn't. But Adriana would be Icebox in the sequel. I
She
think.
would. So
Yeah,
shout
New
out
York Giants
to
fangirl.
yes. And so what we're gonna do is we're definitely gonna have her on Thursday's episode. Remember, the way we do it here at Sin. I don't know how you non-sinners do life, but we sinners come to you every Monday and Thursday. And so on Thursday's episode, we are going to have Adriana, New York Giants fangirl, on to talk a little bit about the New York Giants and the turmoil, the turlet bowl that they are in. And we'll talk a little football, a little New York stuff, all kinds of stuff. But shout out to her. Follow her on Instagram the way that you follow TI on Facebook. That's where they have like their big followings. She goes live on Instagram, covers her team like no other fan covers their team. She does a hell of a job. So shout out to Adriana. That's our homegirl. And we are going to have fun making fun of her, to be honest, on Thursday. So definitely stay tuned for that. Be sure to hit the notification bell on YouTube so that you know when new content drops. So we're talking, these movies, like the sequels, like what movies deserve. Well, then you think, okay, Sandlot. Did you even know T.I. Sandlot did a sequel?
I did not know The Sandlot did a sequel.
Because it's so bad. It's so bad. It's a sin.
It's kind of like a lot of people don't know there's a sequel to Christmas Vacation. It's called Cousin Eddie's like Island Getaway or something, like they were like, hey, Chevy Chase, we know that you'll do anything. Would you like to do a sequel to Christmas Vacation? He's like, no. And they like went to, Cousin Eddie and we're like, yeah, let's see what he's up to,
Randy
and of
Quaid.
course, like Randy Quaid's like, yeah, give it to me, He's like, I'm still living off Dennis's money, the last couple movies, so why not? And go ahead and do another movie there. But I've seen about 10 minutes of it, and it's very bad. So I'm going to assume that The Sandlot 2 is equally as bad. And I mean, Christmas Vacation 2. I mean, not Christmas Vacation, Christmas Story 2. Like, they always try to stretch a classic.
The Christmas Story the second Christmas Story was an amazing movie. That movie was sick.
You like it?
I'm not, dude. It has like a 7.6 on IMDb. I ain't the only one that likes that movie. That movie is phenomenal.
Like the original one or the newer one, because they did a new one too.
The Christmas Story Christmas. So there's Christmas Story from back in the 1980s.
Yeah,
and then with Billingsley Grown Up, that just came out in the last few years.
Yeah,
Christmas Story Christmas. That movie was amazing.
No, that's not the one I'm talking about. There's another one in between that nobody knows about. Yeah, that new one that came out is great, where he's adult. I loved it. Yeah. The other one is kind of like, so
straight to VHS.
Yeah, and it was like the thing. I was just like flipping through TV one night, and I was like, "What is this?" And didn't know that exists. And I was like, "Now I know why it exists." It's. I mean, I know it's kind of like. I mean, there's a million of them now, but I remembered one time I was like, I never went and watch Jurassic Park 3. I'm going to sit down and watch it. And I was like, holy shit, that's why I didn't watch it. Aside from the pterodactyl scene,
right? It's loose in
for
San Diego.
Like 10 minutes. No. That's the second one. It's just awful. It's just terrible. There's a pterodactyl scene for like 10 minutes. It's good. The rest of it is just
That's
awful.
William H. Macy's worst performance of all time.
It's that one.
Yeah.
That one.
Yes, his son is lost.
Yeah. Oh, it's terrible. It's so terrible. I was like,
yeah, that's bad.
Yeah. So why these sequels? Why do they just keep pumping these sequels? Here we are going on another movie tangent. Like, I mean, we love to talk about Turtles, but I mean, for me, I'll tolerate Turtles 2, but Turtles 3, Turtles in Time, or no, it's not even called Turtles in Time.
They change Aprils.
They brought back Casey Jones, but I mean,
that was bad.
Terrible.
They changed the spots on the turtles. They're like
Charles
more
Barkley,
mechanical.
terrible.
Yeah, it was real bad. That was an idiot move, and I know that it is probably time. Miles does have for us your idiot of the week.
That's right.
All right, boys and girls, hide your moms, hide your dads, and hide your wallets, because this is Idiot of the Week. So this week we've got Notre Dame men's swimming team as your Idiot of the Week. And if you didn't hear about this, it was more than just background noise to the swimming events at the Olympics. The Notre Dame men's swimming team has been suspended for the entire year. Not just one or two swimmers, the entire damn team. Why?
We're going streaking. Is that, what did they do?
Little gambling. They were doing the Adam Marino. They're spending a little too much time placing wagers. Oh, but not at the casino. No. They were betting on March Madness, which one is already a violation. NCAA athletes cannot bet on any NCAA sports.
Right.
Oh, but it gets so much more fun. They were betting over-unders on swim meets. Can't do that. It's your own competition. That's a no-no. But you hear about that. Athletes do it throughout time. They get suspended, whatnot. Oh, but we get more fun. So they're betting individual events that their teammates are. They're betting against their own teammates swimming in ACC competitions.
That's just healthy.
And then,
Miles, that's just healthy competition, Miles.
I'm not done. They started including the women. Now, the women allegedly had no idea. The women are not suspended as of this point. They're not.
All right.
But they were going to the women's meet and betting on the girls' swim events. But more than that, they were having so obscure wagers that they were betting on how many women would cry after a certain event. They got that
All of them?
specific. Yeah, right. But how many is all of them? Someone had to do the head count. How many women swimmers are here, and how many would cry after
17
an
for
individual
17.
event?
All
So
those-
they were pussing, and I want to know how much money they were betting. I don't care how many are suspended, how long they were doing this. I don't care about the
500 a
investigation.
pop.
Started back in January of this year, and then later after the Olympic time trials, they started to bring in the third party to investigate this. I want to know specifics of betting on women swimmers, how many would cry after the event. My gosh, you've done so well. And look, I swam year round, so I get how this goes. Oh, the estrogen on the deck after any event is palpable. It's absolutely hysterical. So I heard that, and the moment I heard that, I go, that's a hell of a thing to bet on, because that makes a lot of sense. But having to count, because there would be a lot of disputing that. It's who counts? Who are you counting? Are you counting fans? Are you counting only your team? Are you counting the opposing team?
But
So
and it's
I want to get
water.
more details on this.
It's water. How do you know it tears? Water.
Is it a tear? Yeah. Does their
Maybe-
face have to
no,
turn red? But
no,
it'll be
I'm
red
not
after
a-
the race.
I'm not upset. My contact lens came out while I was running.
But
But,
Yeah.
you know, just thinking to some of those boys' parents, especially their fathers, sitting down with them, you know, and like, Johnny, I need to talk to you about your gambling addiction. Dad, I told you, I'm not addicted to gambling. You're gambling on swimming, okay? You are clearly addicted to gambling.
And
you know?
tears.
So I'm not surprised they are the
go to
idiots
your room
of the
right
week.
now.
Yeah,
And I
like
think it's important here
should-
to give some context as well about the Notre Dame swim team. So you think of Notre Dame, okay, football team, usually good, you know, not necessarily contended for a national title because they always joke, or their basketball team, it's who gives a damn. Their swim team finished second in the ACC this last year. They finished 10th in the nation. They had a swimmer compete in the Olympics in both the 50 free, 100 free, and 200 free. He's the first American swimmer to compete in all three events since 1988. So this is a program that was looking forward to possibly competing for a national title next year.
not this year.
And they're gone. They are gone for the entire academic
Dunzo.
year.
Well, Miles, you can say what you want about the Notre Dame football team, but they are the only team in college football that can have 3 losses and still be ranked in the top 10.
That's kind of really my point right there. Not a contender. They'll get ranked in the top 10 like their swim team, but they won't make it. Although looking at Notre Dame's football schedule this year, boy, they got some patty cakes out there. Their schedule's garbage.
Can't wait to get into college football, NFL football when it really, really, really gets rolling. It's going to be
so close.
I know,
so
we are-
close. I can
we are
taste it.
We're
Taste the leather.
we are as close to real football as the Green Bay Packers were close to scoring points besides a safety. They were so close in their preseason game late last night. They were that close, man, but they only scored 2 points. The only team in all of preseason football of this week to not score a field goal or a touchdown. So, shout out to Packerland. and all the fudge that they pack. Great
They're
job.
very, very happy for you to give them that shout out, I'm sure.
Right. I will be trolling them on their
The way you
pages
compounded it on the end there, they are going to love that.
Yes. Well, it's a twofer for sure, because the Packers are definitely a franchise like the Cowboys, 49ers, Steelers, that have fan bases that are so enriched in like, nope, I don't care what happens, we're the best. Sorry, we're just the best. Like, that's just the way it is. I'll admit that there are 49er fans that are like that. I like to be more level-headed about things, but I truly don't think
since when?
Yeah, I truly don't think you guys are a part of that with growing up where Tennessee Titans did not exist because they're the Houston Oilers. Just saying, like, I'm not
Sure
giving you a dig. I'm just saying, like, Tennessee Titan fans are not the same as Green Bay Packer fans. It's just not the same, right? And so they're going to go crazy over the fact that they could not score a field goal or a touchdown, and that makes me happy. Very, very happy.
They'll just probably say things like golly gee and darn it.
I know, right? The nice.
I mean,
Midwest.
after, like I said, when I went to up there and watched the Titans kick their ass, they were like, "Thanks for coming to Green Bay. That was a great football game, wasn't it?
Spend your money."
You know, I mean, when my brother and I left the Bengals playoff game, like, ooh, I was just like, I don't want anybody to say anything to me. And these Packers fans were like, "Thanks for coming to our city. Thanks for beating us." And you guys were
rough.
A lot of golly gees.
Yeah,
dude, I saw Barry Bonds hit 2 home runs in Cincinnati, and I was with my dad, and he was like, "Put your coat on over your jersey." Like, we are, like, I mean, it was rough. Cincinnati, not fun, and it smelled like Purdue.
Yeah, I'm not walking outside of Baltimore and being like, "Thanks for coming to my city."
Oh, so I don't remember who it was. I think it was Mark Normand, one of the comedians of the day, who goes viral for some of his reels. And these comedians, they don't enjoy doing live television for these daytime shows like Good Morning Baltimore or whatever. That's a comedian's like worst nightmare because they're sleeping until at least noon. So the fact that they have to like wake up and do some stupid show that 97 people in that city are going to see and that's it is just the dumbest thing ever. And Mark Normand goes on this show, and it was like, I think, Baltimore, because they said like, "Well, Mark, what's your set going to be like?" And he said, "Well, Hitler." He's like, he doesn't want to be invited back, obviously. So he's like, "Yeah, Hitler, poop." And, you know, and the host is like, "Oh, well, let's, and he goes, "Yeah, sorry, I don't want to burn any bridges. I know how you feel about them in Baltimore." And she was like, the camera like panned to her, and she was like, "Well, like."
Well,
it was so
until
awesome.
next time, folks.
Have you ever heard David Cross's bit on that? Where he talks about, it's kind of the same thing where he talks about you get booked for these 6 a.m. radio shows and stuff, you know.
Yeah, man.
He's like the Steve, Bob, and Jimbo show, you know, and it's like a bunch of sound effects, and he says, you know, and here I am, I'm out until 4 a.m. drinking and doing a bunch of coke, and he's like, "No, I've got to go to 6 a.m. to this radio show," and he's like, "I fall asleep 1 hour before, and my alarm's going off, they're calling me," and it's just like, yeah, man, who's listening to that?
Yeah,
man, when I'm waking up and driving to work or whatever I'm doing, the last thing I want to hear is 2 people who are way too excited to be on the radio at 6 a.m. I'm like, bro, just give me some dentist office music right now. I just need something very calm. I don't need you. Like, I mean, you know, I know John Boy and Billy and all those guys are super popular, and I get it, but it's just not my cup of tea, man.
Yeah,
I can't imagine being a successful comedian and having to wake up and do those kind of shows.
I love that you didn't say elevator music. You went with the dentist office music.
I mean, elevators. What are those?
Yeah, I'm an
escalator guy. I'm an escalator guy.
As you've been listening to it now on our show for about the last 10 seconds. So we want to remind you, of course, as always, to start your morning off not with Jim Bob, but with us sinners, and do some sinning like the rest of y'all should be doing. Follow us on YouTube. It's the most fun way to watch. Hit the notification bell so you can be notified when new content drops. and you can give us a 5-star review, or you're fired. Give us a 5-star review on Apple and Spotify. And if you don't, go to your room. So
if you don't, Miles is going to send Guido after you.
Yes, come from behind enemy lines. So every Monday and Thursday, catch us. We will see you this Thursday with our very special, very first guest, Adriana, New York Giants fangirl. Check her out on Instagram, and we will see you soon. See you, sinners. Okay, all you sinners, follow Sports Idiot Nation on TikTok, X, and Instagram. Like us on Facebook, and remember, the most fun way to watch us is on YouTube every Monday and Thursday. Be sure to hit the notification bell so you can be updated when new content drops. Remember, the podcast can also be found on the usual suspects of Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Always remember, don't be an idiot.
Sinner.